Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ever Adaptive Podcast. I'm your host, Beckie Flowers, along with my beautiful co-host here, Sarah Budson.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Happy episode 48. We're almost at 50.
We're almost to 50, which then 51 will start season 3, which is bonkers to me. We're almost a year in.
It's so crazy. Yeah, mid-June is a year. So
Yeah,
actually like 2 weeks is,
yeah, literally. And we've only missed 2 weeks, which is really dope.
yeah, I'm so proud of us.
I am too.
We're just consistent as fuck. Maybe
Hey,
to a fault, but
but you know what? And I know that you and I have talked about this, but even though we've been consistent, we've also kind of slacked, right?
yeah.
And we definitely want to just be better about actually growing this and spreading the word and getting more topic ideas and things like that. And just investing more time into this because we both feel the value from it like tremendously. Like it's something that we're very proud of and we love to have it and we love having it as an outlet and all of these things. But I just feel like more people need to hear it.
I agree. I agree. And I feel like we've gone through so many like ups and downs in life that it's now time to, okay, like even it out and let's really dedicate time to this. So
Yeah.
hopefully you'll see some good changes in the future. We don't know what they are yet, but we'll come up with something.
What she said.
But all right, let's dive into our topic today because it was a good one. Like we had two topics and we'll probably do our next topic next week. Um, but really something that I have been thinking about lately and I wanted to put into a post. So I'm glad we're doing a podcast on this because I feel like it's like my word vomit outlet. Um, it's when you're like in the thick of something, how you are showing up in that time period and what that is going to determine on the other side when you're in the clear and you're like to that place where you can finally breathe.
Yeah, and I love this topic so much. Because I had brought you the other topic when we were talking about it prior, and you're like, that's a really good one. Like, or I was thinking this, and I was like, oh, that's better. Like, let's do that because man, we're both going through a bunch of shit right now. And the way that you show up under pressure and when you're in these situations, it really truly does determine the outcome and how things look on the other side, right? How do you show up? How are you going to face it? What is your attitude going to be like? What is your outlook like? What do you want the other side to look like? Are you going to make that happen,
Yeah.
or is it going to be a pity party, or you just have a bad attitude about it? Like there's so many different ways that you can show up, and that truly, truly will determine what path that, like what way that goes.
Exactly. Exactly. It kind of reminds me of like, did you ever read those books as a kid that are like choose your ending? Like you can either go this path or this path. Like
Mm,
that's what I feel like when you are in these hard life situations, you can choose this way or this way. And whichever way you choose is going to determine that outcome. Um, I I think a big one for me with this topic is the victim mentality.
mhm.
Like it's so easy for me to slip into a victim mentality very quickly because I lived there for so long. So that's what kind of like sparked this in my head of, okay, I can keep going down this path. I can keep eating my gluten-free Oreos every night because I'm feeling sorry for myself. Or I can stop it here and I can reverse what I'm doing. And when I get out of this, whenever that is, like it'll be 10 times better.
Yeah, and that's important too because in your specific situation, like you're also prolonging what you're currently in by making, you know, worse decisions for health, right?
Yeah.
Like same thing with me, right? Like shit, in Mexico, I could have went balls to the wall and literally undid the last 8 to 10 weeks of progress that I have made since being in my gut protocol, right? Like did I have to show up the way that I did through that and restrict myself and make sure that I was on plan and on point as much as possible? No. And I feel like probably 8 out of 10 people wouldn't have in that
No,
situation.
no, it's real.
But I also know how long I've been in this state and what we're trying to fix and what is going to be productive in this season of trying to get my internals where they need to be so that I can actually come out on the other side of it. Because at this point, like I am feeling the pressure of that. I am feeling the like, man, like, is this ever gonna end? You know, like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. And like, and it's not in a like, oh, pity me, like this sucks, woe is me, but like after a while it wears on you and it's just like, man, like am I ever going to be able to have garlic again?
No, that's so real.
Like freaking garlic. Come on. Like
No,
I have worn my body to a point that it is so in this state that like it can't even handle garlic.
you
Like come
can't have garlic or
on.
onion.
It's like so pathetic, but I'm like, fuck.
No,
But I
it's so
know that,
true.
it's necessary and like this is how I have to show up. And the more I worry about it, the more I'm gonna stress myself out and just undo progress that I've made. Like I have to stay in this state and just stay clear-minded and keep my head down and just keep going, one foot in front of the other because the light may be that big, but it's still there at the end of the tunnel.
It is. And I think that mindset is very real. I remember like I thought I could never have a cookie again. Like
I literally remember you saying this on the podcast.
I seriously, I was like, am I ever going to be able to have a cookie? Um, so spoiler alert, yes, you will be able to have cookies and it's fine. It's going to not be great for your plan, but it's fine. Um, but where was I going with that? I had an actual point and I don't know where that was going, but it's so it's what was I saying? I
Just
don't
continue it.
remember.
You just have to continue to show up regardless. Like
Yes,
there,
that's what it was. It's like you get into that mindset of like, "Oh my God, can I ever have garlic again? Or is this ever gonna end?" And you could make the decision, like you said, to go balls to the wall or off plan or, in the middle of gut protocol, have a cookie because you feel like you can never have it. Or you can just stick through what you're doing because rationally we know that this is going to end and you will be able to have garlic again and not prolong it for yourself.
right. And that's the biggest thing for me is like, if I were to go off plan or whatever, I'm literally undoing progress that I have
Mhm.
made, that it's taken me a lot of time and effort to get to this point, which by the way, guys, I sent out my second GI map this morning.
Yay. Good. So that
So
usually takes like
fingers
2
crossed.
weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it
a
takes
lot.
forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, got that sent out. So fingers crossed that it's at least a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I have no no doubts that it is. And then you can move into that second phase and then you're just like that light gets just a little bit bigger.
Hmm.
And then you're going to walk out of this and you're not going to feel tired all the time. You're not going to feel like shit all the time. Like your body's going to do what it needs to do and it was responding in a way that was great before, but, like, how is it gonna respond when it's actually firing on all cylinders?
I agree. And I would say one of the biggest things that I noticed, maybe not like over time, but kind of looking back, is like my brain fog is a lot less now. I was very like, I just feel like I was very like airheaded before and just kind of like directionless, where I feel a lot more clear-minded now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Do
I've
you feel
heard
like
that.
you need as much caffeine as you did before? I know you have to dial it back.
No, no, because I have significantly decreased my caffeine intake. I mean, I used to drink half a pot of coffee every morning, plus an energy drink in the afternoon. And it's rare that I even finish my one cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I'm definitely, but I am also like napping of it's less, but um I nap a couple times through the week. It used to be daily.
Yeah. Yeah, I
In
remember.
the like in the beginning of gut protocol, I was taking naps literally every day just to be able to get through the day. And that could have been a mixture of things, decreasing caffeine, whatever. But that has also decreased quite a bit too.
Good. Good. So it's almost like kind of going back to our topic, like how you choose to show up right now is going to determine like the end of it. I think of this a lot with just even relationship or like not even like relationship, like, partner relationship, but like just your relationships with people in general. Like if you're having a hard time with your kids or your friends, parents, whatever, how you show up during that hard time, or if you're going through a season of loss or something like that, is going to determine how you come out on the other side. Because you can go through a really, really hard time and you can turn to alcohol every single day. And where is that going to bring you in 6 months versus channeling that energy into the gym, nutrition, relationships with the people that are in your close circle? Like, how is that going to be in 6 months? It's going to be drastically different.
1000%. And I would even switch this in a spiritual way too. Like, how do you show up in your relationship with God, right?
That's huge. That
That, yeah.
honestly should be number 1.
Yeah, like that is like the effort that you put in there, like that is the outcome 1000%. Like
Yeah.
I will be a testimonial to that all freaking day long. Like the more time you invest in that and just being connected, the more you will be open to receiving everything that's there for you. And that has been such a pivotal thing for me to realize and recognize because I fall out of, those practices, and whether it's, just taking a second to stop and, pray or do devotionals or whatever, it's like I don't go to church, but the more that you do recognize and put time into that, the more you're going to feel that in return.
Yeah. That is such a huge one. I'm glad you brought that up because it really is number 1. Like, it's really hard to show up well in other areas of your life when you are going through the thick of it if you don't have that foundation.
Mhm. Yes.
And that's actually a good reminder for me too, because I've fallen out of my practices of that. And you can feel it. You feel it in your like soul.
And it just like it starts to feel like it slowly starts to feel heavier over time, and you
Mhm.
start being like, why is this so, right? And
Mhm.
then you kind of like get back to, I mean, same thing with like our morning walks or like our gratitude or like our scheduling or just like our daily practices that like help keep us in alignment with everything that we need to do, right? Like when we fall out of those, like that's when we start feeling like shit. And that is literally when you're in that like shitty feeling and you're like, man, like this sucks. And then you make that recognition of like, okay, well, how am I showing up right now?
Yeah.
How am I showing up for myself? And you start picking back up those little practices and those little habits, and all of a sudden, like that weight is lifted.
Yes. That's so key. And I kind of want to go. I know we've talked about this in so many episodes, but what do you do when you're going through the thick of it? Like, what are your best practices? Like, what makes you show up the best in those times? I think that would be good for just those little habits.
Creating space to be able to show up. And that can look a lot of different ways. Right now, I'm kind of going through a like crisis because I am so wired to be working nonstop. And because I'm in this season of pulling back and rest, I feel like I'm getting restless, and I feel like it's impacting me in a lot of other areas. And so in that way, it's like, okay, well, what is actually going to feed into me and also kind of help fill that is productive. you know, the last couple days going for longer walks. Um, but also just putting more time and energy into work that I can do. Because it helps me feel, I think because I feel so incapable right now, it helps me feel more capable being able to work because I can't train as much as I was used to. I can't,
Yeah.
be up and busy and doing all of these things like I used to. I mean, I used to be going 1,000 miles an hour at
Oh,
all
yeah.
times. And I feel like I'm finally at a point where I was like, at first it was a hard adjustment, but then I got into this space and I'm just like, man, like I feel useless. And like I need to like I feel like I need like direct like a purpose again, like I need to hone in on my work and keep busy with things that are actually going to progress me forward in other areas, not just my physical fitness, because I know right now that my rest is necessary. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of that. And that's literally just within like the last few days with so many things kind of going on, um, kind of mentally coming to this realization like last night.
I love that. And you actually just posted a post, was it yesterday on this too? Like how to know when to pull back. And
Mhm.
I was so excited to see it. And I'm just so proud of you because you were that person that would run yourself into a brick wall and then just like back up and be like, all right, we're going to do it again and just do that over and over. So just the growth that you've had and like it was hard at first, but now finding your groove again and being able to channel that purpose into something else. I'm just proud of you and I think that's important for people to realize too of finding some other outlets besides what you are so wired in on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But like in that same like breath, like finding a sustainable like workload,
Yeah.
however that looks, whatever your work is, right? Finding something that's sustainable that's not going to run you right back into the ground, right?
Mhm.
Because that's my biggest thing is, okay, if I start doing more, am I going to be spreading myself too thin for literally the season that I'm in with gut protocol and having to still stay, pulled back. And
Yeah.
stress management is like such a huge thing for me because like I get very, very, very easily stimulated and that spikes up my blood glucose. And that's another thing that, Mark and I are trying to work on bringing down is it could be good stress, it could be bad stress, but regardless, it's stress, right? And perceiving that stress in a way of not letting it screw up so much progress, however that looks. And so that's also another thing that I'm kind of trying to work through right now is just kind of like being in a neutral state, like mindset with everything.
Is there anything else that you do? Like you had mentioned, you're going on longer walks. Is there anything else um, that you kind of do to get you through if you're going through like just a loss period?
I just had therapy last night and my therapist wants me to start actually utilizing the gratitude portion on my schedule, on my daily schedule. Because it's like, I think that you need to do like just a gratitude journal. And I was like, well, I have a spot on my journal that I just leave
I just
blank.
look at it every day.
And she's like, start doing that. I was like, okay. And I did it last night and I woke up and my BG was lower.
Okay, no, this is good. This is so good because like that does play a role into all of that. And I feel like you're just speaking to me right now because my BG has been outrageous the last 2 weeks.
So has mine.
Um, crazy. So yeah, do more gratitude.
I okay, so there's a girl on our team that does like daily gratitude on her story.
Okay, I love that. I know what you mean.
And I think that you and I should start doing that.
Okay. That's good because I don't post on IG anymore right now. So that way we
Me
have some
either.
context.
Literally yesterday, my first post, it was like my first like actual post with any like sort of meat in the caption for over 2.5 months. I was like, wow.
No, but it was a good post. When you post bangers.
Except for like my last like 6 posts where I'm just like, I don't know, it's like a lyric or something. And I'm like, I don't have anything to post. So here. But I just want something to post. So no, I was glad that I posted that yesterday because it's definitely very real with, what I'm kind of currently going through. But yes, I want to challenge you to daily gratitude in the mornings on Instagram.
I'm down.
Okay.
And you guys can hold us accountable because I'm gonna need that accountability. No, I love the gratitude and I love the long walks. You had mentioned like our walks in the morning because when we started last year, I was like dead set, and then you started just as soon as you wake up, no phone, walking, even if it's for 10 minutes, just get some sunshine in your eyes. And I have fallen so short of that. And not to make excuses, but when you do your BG, like you don't want to really get steps in. So I'll wake up,
Right.
and now that I'm working a 9 to 5, it's like I wake up, have enough time for
Right.
like that 30 minutes, and then I don't have time. But I
Yeah.
need to start making time.
Yeah. It's difficult. Yeah. The BG throws a lot of curveballs in my morning.
Well, I will like here's a little glimmer of hope because I'm now to a point where I can do it, and knock on wood because it's been really bad lately. But I have been able to do it like 2 to 3 times a week. So I know. Like I feel like I have an hour in my morning that just like shut up.
Man, I
So
dream of that.
it's coming. It's coming. But
Every freaking morning.
no, I didn't realize how time consuming 25 minutes could be in my day.
It really
So Mark, if you ever listen to this, we love you, but we
fuck.
don't have the BG. Yeah. The motherfucker. But another thing that I'm going to challenge us to do is just a morning quiet time. It doesn't have to be morning if it's night cool or midday, but just like a quiet time to feel that spiritual side that we need.
And I think that that's something that I'll do at night because I'm gonna do my like written in my journal gratitude at night, and I'll literally take a couple minutes while I'm doing that for that.
I love it. All right. Well, we kind of hit our topic a little bit.
A little bit. There was another spin that I wanted to put on this, and like how you show up, right? In what determines your outcome. Are you taking the easy route or the route that is harder, but is going to have a better payoff for you in the end? This could go a lot of different ways. This could go, the spin I'm going to put on it is like staying in, say, a relationship that is no longer serving you, whether that's romantic, whether that's friendship, whether that's work, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Staying in that and suffering through it because it's comfortable, or making the harder decision and getting out of something because it's not for you. How are you going to show up with that? Are you going to show up with a shitty attitude with it and stay where you're at, or are you going to like head down, this is what I got to do, and that
Or are
will.
you going to show up with a shitty attitude while you make that transition? Because that's going to make a big difference too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good one. I
I
like it.
mean, there's so many different like spins that you could put on this too, like in prep, right? How do you show up in prep? What's your attitude like in prep? You're choosing to do this, you're choosing to do the hard thing.
Hmm.
And not even prep, say following any sort of meal plan, any sort of plan, coaching plan, workout routine, whatever. How are you going to show up? You're choosing to do this. Are you going to do it with a shitty attitude, or are you going to make the most of it and embrace it and be grateful for you being able to do that, how are you
Yeah,
going to show up? And that will tremendously, tremendously impact your outcome.
it will. It for sure will. Another thing that I want to put on this too, now that you brought up like plans, is are you chasing dopamine? Like, have
Mm.
you really looked at where you are getting that dopamine spike from? Are you getting it from, I'm keep bringing up the Oreos because I swear that's like where that's been my vice this week of like a little dopamine hit. And it's so bad. So are you like sneaking the cookie because it gives you a little dopamine hit? Are you, I don't know, sending a mean text message to your husband because that little fight that you're going to create gives you a dopamine hit? Like there, our brains can be wired where we are looking for those. So I would just challenge you that if you are in the thick of it and you're not choosing a good path that's going to make you feel good and give you a good outcome, like look at why you're doing that. Like dive into that deeper.
Dive into it deeper, but also choose dopamine hits that are positive, that are
Yes.
going to have a positive impact rather than something that's going to regress you in some way.
Yeah, and exactly. I think once you can identify that, like then you can switch it into something that's 10 times better.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
I dig it.
anything else?
I think we're good.
I feel like out of breath. I don't know why.
It's
But
because we haven't done cardio in forever.
oh my God. I was just talking to a friend on this before we jumped on and like hitting your steps versus cardio. Like some days there's like, I would rather do cardio some days. Like give me 3 days of cardio versus a daily step count.
It's like when I go into the office at Transcend, like we're on the third floor, and I used to be able to run up those stairs no problem. And now when I go in once every 2, 3 weeks, I'm like 3 flights of stairs. I'm like, holy shit.
That's how I feel though too. Like I'll walk on my lunch break and I'm like, oh my God, I swear I am more fit than I think. I don't know. But anyways, on that note, we hope that you will hear this next week, but it's Memorial Day weekend right now. So we hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Remember why we actually have Memorial Day weekend. It is not for your barbecue.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. 1000% that.
yeah, yeah. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.